My name's Leo Garcia, and I'm a PhD student here at the Institute of Cancer Research. I do research in the field of ultrasound elastography, which tries to help diagnose cancer. In particular, I'm looking at using this during brain tumour surgery to help guide the surgeon to find the tumour.
Leo is also a STEM career role model, taking science into schools. He's doing a PhD to find out how ultrasound elastography can be used to diagnose cancer.
In a standard ultrasound scan, as you may or may not be familiar with, we just sort of move the probe back and forth very slowly along the part of the body that we're interested in looking at. Elastography works slightly differently to this. Instead of moving up and down and around to explore the tissue, instead what we do is gently press up and down with the probe. So as we're compressing, the tissue below the skin surface will move by an amount that depends on how stiff it is. If it's very, very stiff, it won't move very much at all when we compress. If it's very soft, it'll move a lot. And that depends how it shows up in our final image. If it's very stiff, it'll show up as black. If it's soft, it'll show up as white. And this is really, really useful because malignant tumours tend to be stiffer than benign tumours, and obviously that has incredible use in diagnosis.
Using a phantom breast with a tumour, Leo is able to show us how elastography works.
If we look at the image on the right-hand side here, this is the standard ultrasound image. This is what we'd see in perhaps using this scanner or any standard ultrasound scanner. The image on the left is the elastography image. So what I can do is just show you what it looks like when we do have a tumour that we can spot. So we just press up and down really gently, and in fact there you see on the left-hand image, you see that that tumour shows up in black. And what I mentioned before is that if something shows up in black, that means it's very hard. If, for example, we were in the clinic and this was a real person, if I saw that, I'd be very, very convinced that that was a malignant tumour.
Leo is an experienced STEM career role model, having done many school visits. For the next one, he plans to take one of the scanners into the school.
Today's the day. Leo's coming in soon, and we've got a nice Year 9 group that's been told that they've got this activity to do today, and a little bit about it. They've just been told that he's a working scientist.
We're going to play a little game. We're going to play together I Spy Insert. So please, a little round of applause for your teacher, please.
With Leo leading the session, David thought he'd have an easy time, but having a lie down in the middle of the class is taking it a little too far.
This is the ultrasound probe. It emits sound at about 6 million hertz, very high frequency. This is an abdominal probe, so used for seeing inside Sir's guts. This is gel, ultrasound coupling gel. Okay, it's cold. It's actually been in the fridge. And this lets the ultrasound come out of the elements and into Sir's body nice and easily. Okay, if we didn't have any, the sound would just bounce back off the skin surface. But because we've got this, it means it can travel right through. So we're going to start on here. Okay. Right. What can you see through the ribs?
His heart.
His heart, okay. And you can see because it's pulsing. Sir is alive. He is not dead. So what can we see next to his heart?
Liver.
His liver, exactly. Okay, that's his liver. Now, the liver is huge. It's a very large organ. Who's this little fella down the bottom?
His baby.
It's a boy.
A boy.
What is that down the bottom? Is that a little
Kidney.
Kidneys. Looks like kidneys as well, doesn't it? Before we started the session, Sir drank some Coke, okay? Now, what happens when you drink something? Where does it go?
Into your stomach.
Okay, and where does it go after that?
To the bladder.
It's gone down his food pipe, to give it a scientific name, into his stomach, and hopefully down into that big thing. Look how full it is. That's very nice. Now, That's his bladder. Now, if I do this, we might be able to see things flowing into it. That's it. Sir is having a wee inside himself. That's disgusting.
To have someone that does do science, can talk about it, knows an awful lot about it, has got some character and is willing to interact with the kids, take their questions, ask them questions, it's just a dream.
I think the best bit was when they used the ultrasound on the teacher and show the different parts of it, like inside the body, and the way that you could identify different like organs and stuff like that.
I've worked with a variety of age groups. I've done everything from primary school up to year 13. So I've had to arrange and make a variety of different sessions for different age groups.
And a planning meeting before every event between STEM career role model and class teacher is really important.
If I wheel in a physicist to a bunch of year 9s and say, here's a physicist, but he works for cancer research, they're going to find that concept quite puzzling, because we tend to chunk up science into chemistry, biology and physics.
Okay.
And I think they probably view you more as a biologist. So could you explain to me and to them how that works?
When we're looking at pretty much any form of diagnosis that we have, be it MRI or CT, you know, X-rays, they all have a very nice grounding in physics. MRI is a very, very nice example of a pure physics topic that's been applied directly to medicine. In terms of cancer as a whole, are you interested in any information about that at all?
Definitely. I mean, it's not something that's specifically on the curriculum, but that's not a problem. That would be a bonus to give them some more information about that. I will just check with their head of year that there are no issues around the topics of cancer and ultrasound that we need to be aware of.
What is a tumour?
Is it a build-up of blood cells inside an artery?
Kind of, but not quite. A tumour is a collection of cells that have mutated, OK? So you've got a cell that mutates and it divides out of control. It divides and divides and divides and divides. And in fact, the scary thing about cancer is that it can divide until the end of time. If you put a cancer cell in a petri dish with enough food for it to live on, it will divide and replicate forever. What's the difference between a malignant tumour and a benign tumour?
A bad one and a good one.
Exactly. One is good, well, although both are obviously bad. A malignant tumour spreads. It does what's called metastasize, OK? It metastasizes, which means it sends cancer cells out to different parts of your body to make other tumours show up. A benign tumour will just grow. Now, it just so happens that these tumours tend to be harder, stiffer than healthier tissue. And this is why when a doctor tells you to check yourself for lumps, what you're doing is using your hands to feel for variations in stiffness inside your body. OK? Now, this is something that we can exploit. How much
Leo likes scrambled tofu on toast, dubstep, Bob Dylan and chip sandwiches. He dislikes spiders, cues, Brussels sprouts and avant-garde poetry.
I've always loved science, and physics has really always been my favourite subject. But when it came to choosing a degree, I was really torn. I love music, I'm a musician, and I considered doing a music production course. So I had physics on the one hand, music on the other, and it was a really, really hard decision for me. The thing that really clinched it was thinking 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, what am I going to look back on and be proud of? What job can I do that will make a difference to the world and really help improve lives and make new knowledge? And it had to be physics. Explaining elastography is quite a difficult concept, so what I'd like to do is just do a little interactive experiment with the kids where I get a range of balls of different stiffnesses and get them to put them in order of stiffness by squeezing them, because that's really the principle behind elastography. So hopefully that difficult concept will be made much more simple for them. So what I'd like you to do, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to put these objects in order of stiffness with the hardest on this side and the softest on that side, and the only thing you have at your disposal are your hands. OK, I want you to apply forces to these objects, compress them, and see how much they deform. The more it deforms under compression, the softer it is. OK? So, in 3, 2, 1, go.
That one's soft. That one came similar to this one. We need that one up.
OK, you're just coming up to 15 seconds remaining.
This could just test. No. This one, see how much you can.
We're running out of time. 3, 2, 1. OK, guys, stop. Stop where you are. Thanks very much, guys. Go back to your seats. Thank you very much for helping me out. Let's give them a round of applause. Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to find out if they were correct. Okay. Now, there's not an awful lot of point in me squeezing this because you know the marble doesn't change shape at all. It's incredibly hard. It's very, very stiff. Same for the rock. It's not going anywhere, really. Now, this cricket ball, so that's changing shape quite a lot. You see it bulging out the sides, decreasing in height. This is what we're looking for. This is how elastography works. Benign tumours are often spherical, just like this ball, and when we squeeze them, they do exactly the same thing. They bulge out at the sides and they decrease in height because they're very soft. And this is just a really good example of it. This is exactly what we would expect a spherical benign tumour to act like. And that's really cool because that's what we see in the clinic, and that's what we're seeing here today. So it shows that our science is good, and also that you guys put these things in roughly the right order as well. One of the most challenging aspects of doing school visits is making sure that I balance the time I put in to making the visits fun, accessible, exciting with what I do on a day-to-day basis, my job. It's really important that the visits are of a very, very high quality, but I certainly don't want the quality of my work here to go down. However, I think it's really, really important that I do these school visits because I get a lot out of them, and I hope that I can pass on some of the knowledge that my supervisor has given me to the next generation. So, we're going to sum up, okay? Scientists are developing and refining technologies all of the time. Science is a challenge, and it should be. Science is satisfying, and especially in the field that I work in, it's extremely worthwhile, knowing that the physics that you do in the lab can go on to help save lives.
In this lesson, we got to see real equipment, not videos about equipment.
To be able to see how the ultrasound's used in front of us, it was really interesting to know.
And also to be part of it as well, to be doing it yourself, to learn for yourself, not just from what other people say.
I definitely recommend being a STEM ambassador. It really, really is very enjoyable. Also, I think it's very important for any scientist to get used to communicating.
Yeah, Leo was very interesting because he explained about the different types of tumours and cancer, what leads to cancer, and what we can do to stop it and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was really good. Most of the stuff I didn't really know, so it was actually really good to learn about it.
This is a really nice opportunity to G people up and give them something interesting to study. More than that, it's useful for me as a practicing teacher to actually sit down with someone with a level of scientific knowledge far greater than mine who can explain it very well. So already we're talking to Leo about using some of his ideas for the new A-level course coming in at Key Stage 5, so lots of medical imaging in there. So twofold really, something good for the kids, but also really importantly something good for staff as well.
Whilst I would definitely hope that I've made some future scientists, my main goal is just to get kids really interested, really excited about science. So if they go on to do science at A-level, degree level, maybe even end up doing a science PhD like I'm doing, then that would be absolutely brilliant.
I'm taking triple science and I want to be a doctor when I'm older, but this lesson has I'm not a great fan of physics, but this lesson actually made me realise how fun physics can be, and it motivated me more.